friends, welcome to Think Out Loud with me. It's Natalie, and this is a cast of my chat from my little neck of the woods, nearly 5,000 feet above sea level in northern Colorado, to you in yours at whatever elevation that may be. I host this digital adventure in an effort to turn a lifetime of internal chatter, wondering, silent suffering, and physical and mental close calls into constructive and enlightening conversation with others. It's me taking advantage of the irrevocable license to be curious, issued by the universe and held by every single one of us, yes, even you. And you have a lot of choices on how to spend your time. It's your most valuable asset, and I appreciate you sharing minutes and moments with me as I gather around my little metaphorical fire with super special guests to discuss this beautiful thing called life. Life. Damn, isn't it grand? Are you like me and a zillion other people feeling the pangs and the squeezes being delivered on the daily by high prices, highly triggering news, situations that demand higher than usual energy than you feel like you've ever experienced? I've personally had to make some very focused decisions about how I'm spending my time, money, and vibrations recently. Being willy-nilly and without purpose and boundaries can leave me leveled with heavy emotions, misunderstandings, and completely mismatched with my best and highest self. Today is April 1st, April Fool's Day, or All Fool's Day, depending on what part of the world you're in. And depending on what you use as a search engine and source, you'll find the history of this day to be rooted in Easter and the vernal equinox, even the cuckoo bird. There's shenanigans the world round. For me, though, I've been thinking on the Fool in April Fools, the Zero card in Tarot, as well as the Sacred Fool, a card I've drawn often from one of my most beloved oracle decks. The concept of the Fool feels very fitting right now, not only because of the date today, but also because of the day and age in which we find ourselves. The internet, social media, and news headlines and alerts, notifications and notices, everything is begging, prodding us to have an opinion, jump to a conclusion, take a side, take a stance. There is a tangible pressure to adopt the opinions of those around us so that we do not feel left out of the herd. And yet the speed at which everything's moving is not something we can manage necessarily. Caught up in it, I personally experience anxiety and panic, and it has taken me years of self-discovery and mentors and tools to regulate myself amongst the daily tidal waves of energy not necessarily meant for me. Alana Fairchild says in Sacred Rebel's Oracle, "It would never occur to the sacred rebel in you to try and outsmart life or resist its flow. It recognizes that the mind is a monkey puppet on strings. More often than not, it is cajoled into fear when it could be playfully dwelling in the radical spontaneity of life. So the sacred fool in you urges your mind to let itself be pulled into joy by your heartstrings, not into fear and doubt by the controlling machines of mass media. Breaking free from a life scripted by outside forces may result in others questioning your sanity, which frankly is a good sign, a sign you're on the right track. Becoming sane in an insane world takes time and a commitment to shedding our attachment, our codependence even, of having others' approval. The sacred fool in us awakes with an enlightened sense of synchronicities and randomness. For me, it's seeing butterflies in random places and glitter on strangers' faces. It's knowing I don't know anything and am a part of everything. Every day is a clean slate awaiting the universe's hand and helping me write a new page of blessed experiences. From where I'm sitting today and every day, it's cool to be the fool. It allows me the chance to journey with an open mind and heart and room for input and guidance and connection. I've been looking forward to connecting with my guest today. She is a fool for this beautiful life, daily reaching for her highest potential and dancing to whatever music happens to be playing. Kimberly Millstone embraces the qualities of an astrologer, intuitive life coach, artist, and writer. She's an empathic channel who brings in vibrational transmissions through written and spoken words and her paintings. Her work centers on lighting a path to each person's unique and sovereign heart as she works with the energies of love, compassion, peace, and joy to remind us all of these qualities which are our true nature. Kimberly brings star magic to the mundane, translating astrology into everyday usefulness so we can know how loved we are by the cosmos. In chapter 15 of Shaman Heart, Sacred Rebel, the book coming at the end of May, in which we will both be featured with 24 others and lead authors Stephanie Urbina Jones and Jeremy Pajer, Kimberly is telling a story called Loving Yourself the Most. Today, I've invited her to chat with me about her beautiful life and the magic touch she offers. Kimberly, thank you for joining me and for specifically thinking out loud with me.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for inviting me to chat with you and shoot the breeze here with all the crazy energies that we are dancing with, as you said. And I love that you are focusing on the Fool card because it's so appropriate for where we're at in the astrological new year. We are in Aries season, which is the beginning of the wheel, so to speak. And we're invited to create something new at this time. We're invited to be an open page where new words can be written. New thoughts can come in, new ways of being can be adopted. And it's so important to clear the slate of all the old stories that we are so used to telling about ourselves, right? And so many people cling to those stories because their identity is so tied to them. And what we're really being invited to do now is create new identities, ones that serve us better, ones that feel good most of the time. It's not possible that I have found yet in a human body to feel good 100% of the time, but I'm certainly going to be working on that. But our intention to feel good more than we feel bad is certainly a very important part of this process. And when we let go of our preconceived notions about what's possible, that's when we become the fool. That's when we are open to receive the inspiration that is coming to us every single day. If we would be ready to let go of our old stories and think in a different way, find a new perception of what's actually happening around us. So there's no mistakes that you are contemplating that card right now. It's very much up for our collective.
Love it. You say on your website, just doing my homework on your voice and your gift, that most people think they're at the mercy of life, right? That life is happening to us, not for us. And specifically, you say the truth is that each of us has the power to direct our lives in better ways. It all starts with knowing what you're working with and why, and then mastering the energies you came here to play with in a conscious way, which feels fun, allowing you to evolve and to be, as we were visiting before we hit record, to be more happy than down, right? To be the soul that you have always dreamed of. Tell me more about just life happening for us, and what are the signs, that are talking to us from the universe, that led us into this truth.
Absolutely. So the beginning of that comes from awareness. Once we have an awareness of the energies that we came here to play with in this lifetime, and I believe that our soul sets us up before every lifetime for specific themes to dominate throughout our lives, and different areas of life for us to have a focus. And when we understand what those are, that's part one. And then the other thing is learning to live in the present moment in a way that allows you to observe, to be the observer of the things that are happening around you. And then you combine that observation with the knowledge and the awareness that you have gleaned for yourself. And those two things together are very powerful when it comes to being able to direct your life, because when you can do that, you're no longer reacting to life. You are responding. And when you can respond from a place of power and understanding what the purpose is of what's happening to you, and I'm not talking about cataclysmic events here, but I am talking about the everyday hard or challenging things that happen to us as human beings that most of us would classify as catastrophic, but actually aren't. There are things that can be navigated if you have awareness and presence of mind to not let yourself ratchet up into a huge stress response, but instead can step back and say, okay, what is here for me to work with? What is here that is calling me into a greater version of myself that knows how to handle this? And then not only that, but what is the higher perspective that is also available for me if I call on it? And this brings power, and this allows you to navigate life from a place of more confidence and more peace and more joy. And we can feel joy even when things are hitting the fan, which is something that we develop the capacity to do over time as we practice this way of being. But it is possible. And I have to tell you, I've had things happen this last year that were off the charts stressful. And I was able to navigate them in a way that I've never been able to do before, because I've been practicing this way of being for, at least a decade now. And so the energies have ramped up now so that people can learn to do this much more quickly and access this way of being much more easily than ever before on the planet. And so one of my great desires is to help people understand that this is available, that we don't have to live a life that feels like a total slog all the time, right? That's not what we were meant to do down here. It just isn't. So it really comes from shifting your perspective and having a bigger awareness, a greater awareness of what we're actually doing.
It's interesting. You bring about some, like, a zillion different thoughts, but I'm thinking, in my own observations of, I don't know, different people in my life, not calling out anybody in particular, but just a certain type of person whose storyline is a why me kind of storyline, and getting to a place of actually Kim and I visited about this last week, where for me there was I say it, I'll own it. It was a why me, like, what did I do to deserve this? To finally realizing that I was the common denominator in all of those stories, and that the main actress, that I could change the situation and my own perspective. And instead of being someone being told what role I was playing, I became the executive producer, right? And decided I'll take the reins now. I'm going to drive, right? And rather than react to everything in a woe is me, it was respond on my own terms. And that's a beautiful thing to consider. It's not easily had, though. It takes a lot of doing, a lot of being with oneself, which I think in today's day and age is still such a new concept. I mean, my mom and dad didn't teach me how to just be with myself, to the concept of self-awareness, the concept of self-inventory. How did you, I'm fascinated. How did you come to know this level of awareness? I mean, to reach this point?
So I want to let all of our our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation off the hook right now.
Fair enough. Yep.
Because, and I'm a parent of 5 children, right? So we had less available to us than we have now. And we are all starting over. We are all starting over now with learning how to do this. And we're all doing it together, every generation. We're all doing it together. It's a whole new world, literally.
I love that perspective. I love that.
Before our eyes. And it's a reset. We're in a massive reset on the planet. And we have never existed this way before in history, in the history of man. We have never had the opportunity and the energies available to us as human beings to be these multidimensional, higher vibrational beings on the planet in a human body. So it's a grand experiment, and we're all figuring it out every single day. And the number one key to all of this is each of us taking individual responsibility for our own experience and understanding that we are creating that with our own thoughts, our own actions, our own beliefs. And we are at a time now where the boomerang effect of the natural consequences is coming back to us very quickly. And that's on purpose, so that we are getting that feedback almost immediately. So whenever we do something, we're going to feel it. This is where our empathic natures are so important. We're going to feel it immediately. That was a yes or that was a no. And a person who is being hyper aware and responsible for their own creation is saying, okay, that felt bad. I don't want to feel that way again. I'm not going to do that again. And literally, we live in a spiral continuum. So that thing that you referred to that just, it came back over and over again, and then you saw the pattern. That's what I mean by life is happening for you. Victim consciousness will tell us that that's a why me story, and that you're doomed, and that your life just sucks and you're always going to have bad luck. Actually, what's happening is the energy is giving you an awareness that what you're doing, the action, rinse, repeat cycle that you are taking is not working, period. There's no judgment there. Nobody's in a white robe hanging above our planet saying, you're messing up down there. You're a lousy person. You're going to, the sticks. And it just doesn't work that way, because heaven and hell lives within each of us. Create our own heaven or hell. And we have the ultimate power to decide what that looks like within our own life. So that's, I could go on and on about that, but that's it in a nutshell.
When you talk about, I love, letting generations before us, it's a massive reset, and we are learning from every direction. Those, younger than us are teaching us daily, and those older than us are teaching us daily. And it's this big love fest, if we allow it to be so. I'm imagining 5 children, and the lessons that come in your household, the relationship I'm trying to develop with my kids, teaching this concept to young people is it's a totally different conversation than what we were having with our parents. Do you find that they get it quick? Do you find that they've got a head start on some things because of their clean slatedness?
Yes, 100%. So the earth has raised her vibration from where it was when we were born. Every generation comes in at a higher level. And especially since 2011, The kids who have been born since then are coming in highly conscious. And they, in fact, are going to be great teachers and gurus. And gurus is the wrong word because I don't believe that there's a hierarchy, but individual gurus of their own life. And they are here showing us what is broken. That they're showing us, all my children are showing me that doesn't feel good. I know it's always been done like that, but that doesn't feel good to me.
Yep.
And I don't know how to operate in that system that you guys created before I got here. I don't know how to do that. I literally cannot be confined in that way. And for a while now, we've been trying to force them. We've been trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And it's getting harder and harder to do that. Our children are screaming at us at this point that the schools are broken, the gun system's broken. Pretty much everything's broken, right? And if you look around you, you will see very highly evolved, intelligent young people trying to talk to us about the earth.
Yep.
And, I mean, they're out there. They're trying to start teaching even from their very young ages. I mean, I've been blown away by, things I've heard from an 11-year-old. So that is our greatest hope, right? And it is inherent upon us to start listening and to stop trying to think that we know better and to start collaborating with them and working with them to find a new way. Because again, reset, people. We're doing things differently now. We have to start changing, and we're creating from ground zero, from where we are in our own lives, our own families, our own communities. This is Pluto in Aquarius. It just happened, last week, where Pluto went into Aquarius. This is power to the people. This is humanity first, love first, taking care of each other first. And we're going to be practicing how to do that as we're continuing to dismantle these systems, because Pluto is going to bounce back and forth into Aquarius and then back into the 29th critical degree of Capricorn for the next 2 years until he finally, or actually I take it back to the end of 2024, until he finally goes into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is going to be a huge growth time for us on the planet. And there's a lot of other astrology that is feeding into this and supporting this shift. And this is why I love astrology so much, because when we see these bigger pictures of why things are happening and that we're actually all moving towards something really amazing and beautiful and good, we can let go of the old ways and embrace our creative genius so that we can start getting busy creating what we really want to see here now. And that is our job. That is our number one job right now as humans on this planet. Those who signed up to be here now came here to do this. We came here to create this. And I have Pluto very strong in my chart. He's the ruler of my chart. So for me, I'm very invested in transformation. And that is my work to do, to help people understand how to transform into this higher way of being so that we can all thrive and so you can thrive. And it requires a desire to go there, right? We first have to decide, it isn't a total crap show here. This isn't all going to hell in a handbasket. We're actually dismantling for a great cause so that we can access love and joy and peace every single day. Who doesn't want that, right? And it's not going to look like anything that it looks like now when we're done. So change is hard for people a lot of times. I think this is where we get stuck, is the fear comes in around, I don't know what that's going to look like. I just want to ball up in my bed with Netflix and numb out, right? Because I can't even imagine it. And it's scary to think about a whole new world. But this is the thing. We only have to do one thing at a time in the present moment. That's all we have to focus on. We don't have to know how it's going to end up. We don't have to know how it's going to look. We just have to take care of our current vibration, our current set point, right? And we're all starting back at 0. So our current set point and where we're holding our focus. This is the number one most important thing that each of us can do, is hold our focus on something good, what we want to see in this moment. If there's nothing around us that's going right, then we seek it out. We find beauty. This is that Uranus and Venus conjunction we just had on Thursday. This is our job. We need to do this like it's our job. We are recreating what beauty looks like for us, and we're looking for it. We're actively looking for beauty everywhere we are in every moment. And let me tell you, this has been my practice for many years now, and I always find it. I always find it. Every time I seek it out, I find it. And it feels so freaking good, right? The confirmation that the universe sends back to me every single time, even in the hardest situations, I can find the good. I can find the beauty in everything that comes into my life.
Yeah. This reminds me of a thought process that I've had to break myself, or very consciously rework in myself. And that is, I think it's Abraham Hicks who talks about, well, back to vibrations and what we're focusing on, that for so much of my adulthood, I focused on everything I didn't want. Right. And like stiff arms. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want to be considered that. I don't want to be seen as that. And the flipping of the perspective to unlock my arms and realize everything I do want, and to work to raise my vibration to attract rather than repel. That how much energy I spent in life trying to make sure I repelled certain ideas, certain ways of being, things being thought about me in my career, in my relationships, in everything that I did. And just the aha of, I had the notion of what it meant to want to attract and energetically connect with things that I wanted in my life. But it wasn't until I let my arms down and opened my mind to the concept of attraction, the law of attraction, that it finally started, back to what we're talking about, happening for me rather than to me. And that beauty of, even in the total chaos, making itself present. And then being able to, in the journey of self-discovery and the journey of going back over past chapters to try and find, and shadows, and dancing with myself to find relief and release, that in that state of awareness of what I'm trying to attract, I was able to go backwards and find the beauty in the broken, and excavate the beauty out of the shit, right? And peel back what felt like layers upon layers of tar and for me and everything that I had piled on, to find the gold. And what I'm hearing is that there is even hope for the younger generation to not have to wait so long to understand the beauty in the present, and the self-awareness plus the present tense understanding, that realizing the beauty and teaching us the beauty in the real moment and in real time is something that I'm hopeful they will have in spades above those of us that are just coming into it, or, waking up to our own journeys. It's just fascinating to think about.
Absolutely.
So are you, like, I'm so curious, how do you, amidst all of the chaotic energy, how do you regulate your own? So for me, mental fitness and this concept of regulating my emotions and my, being responsive rather than reacting to everything. Like, do you have how do you regulate your own state of being and achieve balance? Do you have personal tools that you use?
Yes, yes, of course. The number one thing I do is I have strong boundaries. I'm very clear about what I consume when it comes to media, when it comes to movies, TV, the news, books I read. I choose very, very carefully not to allow fear mongering, violence, lower distortion into my energy field. So that's the first thing. And in my social media feeds, I do not have anyone in my feeds who does, just has victim consciousness or complains, and that's just gone. That's been gone for quite a while. And I create sacred space within my own house where it's very juicy and beautiful to be in that space. I really believe our environment is super important. So I surround myself with plants. I'm a Taurus moon, so plants are super important to me. Venus rules my moon, so all the sensuous things, good food, good nutrition, beautiful art. I'm an artist, so I play with colors all the time. I spend time out in nature, hiking, and every day I sit with my feet on the ground whenever it's, above 40, 45 degrees. You'll find me out in my backyard with my feet plugging into Mother Earth, drinking high frequency water. I have a big jug and I put a crystal in it, and it sits in the sun so that it's constantly getting the solar light codes. And I very consciously consume, for every part of my body, non-toxic products. I only use organic, everything. So boundaries, those are super, super important. My body and my life is sacred, and it's my number one priority to keep it in top shape. I rest. I take naps a lot. We're going through some huge energetic shifts right now. We all need more rest. Our bodies are shifting and changing, trying to adapt to these new light codes that are coming in. Our bodies are drinking from the fire hose right now. So it's super, super important that we take time to let it do what it needs to do. And that can only happen when we're still. So, and making sure I get 8 hours at night if I can, although sleep has been really broken for a lot of people. I kind of feel like I have newborns again, right? Like every 2 hours I'm up because the energy is so intense. That's not an illusion. That's a real thing that we're dealing with. So again, awareness. I know this is true. So if I don't sleep the night before, I nap. I make time in my schedule to nap the next day. If I schedule my work so that I have pockets. I have hours in between, an hour or two between sessions, so that if I need to take care of myself, I can do it in that way. So I think that is a lot for now. I think that's the gist of what I do. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that I'm forgetting, but that's a great place to start, all of those things.
I love it. I too have, I relate to the sleep, the fitful sleep, dreams that are just outrageous lately. just outrageous, very obvious very, like, not that the message is obvious, but obvious that there is a message within. And so waking up feeling like I've got something to figure out here. Something is trying to talk to me. And then the desire to just rest has been really for me, it's been about 9 months I mean, I've never been a nap person, but man, I can crash and just get a good solid couple hours in the afternoon.
It's so important. Capitalism will tell you that's really wrong.
Burr, 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 in your ear that you are not supposed to be laying there, you lazy schmuck. Yep.
Yeah. And we have to deprogram. This is one of the things we're deprogramming. We're living in a flow state now. And I'm going to make a radical statement that most people are going to be like, sure, I believe that, but I don't do anything I don't want to do anymore. And that is because I wait until the energy feels right to accomplish any task. So let's say I have to go to the DMV. Nobody wants to do that, right? But there are times you have a month to renew your license or whatever. I wait until it actually sounds kind of cool to check that off my list. Like, oh, that would feel really good to support myself in that way today. I want to take care of that today. And until I feel that, I don't do it. And I do that every single day with every single thing. And it's really incredible once you start living in the flow of what feels good, how much less energy you leak. Because so much of the exhaustion we're feeling right now is from forcing ourselves to do things that we really don't feel like doing in that moment, right? So again, this is being fully present in your body and with your consciousness, listening to what it's trying to tell you. What are the energies that day, right? Where's the moon? Where, there's so many cycles that we're working with right now. So by being in tune with all of these things, I can hone the best time to do pretty much anything, as well as listening to my own body's consciousness around what it's feeling.
Yep.
And then I act accordingly.
Yep. Yeah. Coming from a fake it till you make it mentality, that is music to my ears. And even in the past several months have stood up and yeah, I am not going to do something that I don't want to do. And on the flip side, back to what I was saying earlier, I am going to do what I want to do, and embrace myself and all of its beauty, for that. You mentioned the beautiful moon. I absolutely adore following you, and your writing is just beautiful, and what you download from the beautiful universe is just fascinating to me, and your artist's hand and the inspiration that you feel in color and shape. You say that astrology, I just want to give a nibble to folks listening of your gift of astrology, and you say that it's built into every person's life, even if they're not aware of it. It's still there, and it's still in its form and its fact. Tell me more about the daily interaction that you have with astrology and bringing it to life for people, helping them realize the gift of it.
Absolutely. So it's so interesting. You started the podcast talking about the Fool, and the Fool goes its own way. It stays in the moment and decides for itself. And in your chart right now, you have Uranus sextiling your natal Saturn. And that energy is all about going your own way. It's about you. Uranus can make you feel restless to do things differently. And when it's sextiling with Saturn, it's a call for you to change the way you do you, really. And so you've said that this energy has been up for you for a little bit. Well, that's that transit that's happening in your chart right now. And so you were doing it without even knowing that there was a technical reason for that energy to feel front and center for you right now. And this is what I find over and over and over again. Whenever I talk with people and I open up their chart, I it's like, of course you're doing that right now.
Yeah.
It's right here written on your chart.
Yeah.
With the transits and what it's touching in your birth chart. So I've seen it happen pretty much every time I've talked with someone and opened their charts with them. Enough to just really trust and believe, right? It's a process that I grew into. But now I live that way. I open my chart every morning and I look at the transits and see if there's anything calling to me that wants my attention. Of course, I sit and meditate with the planets. One of my greatest joys is mundane astrology, which is translating the energies for the masses, for public understanding, because there is so much confusion on the planet right now, and people are nervous and worried, right? So if I can provide a steady hand and some calm energy for people to hold on to understand this is all happening for a reason and we're going to be okay, then, I can't even imagine a better use of my time right now. And astrology allows me to do that. The energies that are coming from all the planets, which I look at as benevolent, sentient beings. Each planet has a consciousness that they are directing towards us for the greater good of all of us, to help us down here through this huge transition. And I'm honored to be a voice for their messages. And I don't know what I'm going to write until I sit down in the morning and I tune in, and then I write what they are trying to help us to see differently, to help us shift our perspective so that we can find love quicker. And at the end of the day, that's really all it's about, is how fast can you get back to love in any situation that you're in. And that's really the message of every planet. And they have their own way of saying it and their own area of your life that they work on you around that concept. But that's it in a nutshell. And it's, we're just so supported. And if everyone knew how supported we were, we would make this transition so much quicker.
Yeah, I believe that too. I'm having a flashback to in Mexico, heading into Mexico City, and you were a couple rows in front of me to the right, or no, it was on the way. I'm just going to keep going with it. We were on the way into Mexico City to Frida Kahlo's home and studio, which was a fantastic experience in and of itself. But I noticed you, I'll just call it what I witnessed, was downloading and writing. I couldn't see what you were writing, but I could sense you just downloading information and translating it on the page. And I was in awe of, it was free flowing. It was as if you were writing something that you had known all along, and you were just like writing the words to a story that you'd already told a zillion times. And so I'm tickled to just think back at that and then think about, your relationship with the planets and your role in translating and being a giver of that love, a conduit of that love. It's a gift. And I'm just super grateful to have spent actual physical time with you. It wasn't enough. It was a week of fantasticness. And I think that, we all made lifetime sisters and brothers and friends in that experience. I've got to believe that there's more in store, that it won't be the last time that we actually laid actual eyeballs on each other. So I'm going to hold hope for that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe we will be together again.
Yeah, for sure. What a fantastic chance to visit with you and think out loud with you. I want to be sure that people can find you and experience you and your magic. You connect with people in all time zones around the globe to offer natal chart readings. You touched on my own. You've got astro coaching, solar return readings, intuitive channel readings. You're known for giving perspective that folks need to move forward on things that were tripping them up before. Can you share details of your website and social handles and how we can be in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. It's super easy. I'm at lunamatri.com. LUNAMATRI.com. That's my website. And then my social handles is on Instagram is Luna Matri. And then you can find me on Facebook at Kimberly Millstone. And I will also be starting a Substack newsletter soon called Relevance of a Crone. And so you can look at that. I'll be making references to that on my social media soon. Just as a way to expound on all of this, this juiciness in a way that I'm not censored or confined by, other people's ideas of what I should be posting about. So I'm excited to be more free with my truth in that way. And so that will be coming soon. And then I am in different publications. It just varies at different times. So I always post about that in my social media feed as well.
Beautiful. I think we've also got multiple launch events in the works for Shaman Heart, Sacred Rebel, and even readings of chapters and whatnot. So we may be able to share a screen, which would be an honor to do with you again.
Me too.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I am going to take us out. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and thinking out loud with me and today's guest, Kimberly Millstone with Luna Matri. Reuniting with my co-authors from my recent trips to Mexico will continue to be my vibe for the coming weeks. It fills my soul to share space with them again and allow you to meet them through me. So I encourage you to please continue to tune in, keep an eye out for when, and until then, take care of you. Big hugs, big love. Bye, friends.